Can you continue to invest in a Roth IRA while being a Spanish tax resident? Any downsides or better options?
Yeah, so taking it head on, the answer is yes, you can contribute to the Roth IRA as Spanish tax resident. The caveat to this is that Roth IRAs are not treated for Spanish tax residents as tax deferred vehicles. So it's basically a look-through account. So as a Spanish tax resident, it would basically be considered a brokerage account. So you would, gains income would be taxed as a Spanish tax resident. But it doesn't preclude you from investing in it. So, it's kind of, it's neither here nor there. I mean, so I don't know whether you would actually want to continue, making that contribution. Perhaps if you were to leave Spain for, long enough to no longer be Spanish tax resident, then those contributions could be there for you, and the money from a U.S. perspective can continue to grow tax deferred. But it's just the one caveat that you're going to want to make sure that you understand is that from a Spanish tax perspective, you're not going to get that benefit of tax deferral on that account. In terms of, are there any better options? I think, was that the second part, Darren? Yeah. I think the interesting thing is, and I'm going to make an assumption here. If you're investing in a Roth, then you're probably U.S. connected as well, or at least a U.S. tax filer. And the challenge you have is that most, Spanish incentivized plans, whether it be Spanish compliant bond or Spanish private pension, are not really suitable investment structures or account structures for IRS filers. So, whether you're a green card holder or whether you're a U.S. citizen. So anything that you might get local resident in Spain from what otherwise would be a local resident in Spain's preferential tax treatment account structure is not necessarily going to work for, again, a U.S. connected individual. Conversely, again, the reality is that this, a Roth is not going to be a great solution. So you're a little bit boxed in. I do think that I do remember this on the front end there, and I think that the next question was, can they, continue to invest in a brokerage account in the U.S.? And the answer is yes. So a brokerage account in the U.S. will continue to be a good opportunity.
Right, but before we go there, okay, so basically a Roth, again, it depends on his or her situation, right? So, for example, imagine if it is that for this person, Spain is a stint, so they're there for X period of time, and eventually they will circle back to the U.S. Well, Roth is king. But if it is that Spain is their long term and they're seeing that as long term, and having a conversation with them, because I've been dealing with a client in Spain who's given up her green card. So if it is that they intend to give up the U.S. tax status, then there's probably an opportunity for planning around Spain as opposed to around the U.S. But so it really depends. And to your point, you mentioned that things that may be tax efficient from a Spain point of view may be unhelpful. I'm thinking perhaps like a PFIC to from a US perspective. So perhaps it's an opportunity to sit with a professional like yourself or your team to look at your overall portfolio and look at your specific family objectives. And perhaps maybe it's not either Roth or something else, but it's Roth and something else. And you create a diversified portfolio that works to your specific needs. I'm just thinking aloud.
No, absolutely. You bring up a great point, because on those Spanish investment structures that can be efficient for EU nationals or Spanish nationals, these are situations where, as you mentioned, it's the underlying that really gets people, the underlying investments that really get people upside down, and those can generally be in the form of PFICs, because that's what the banks have to offer, whether it is, again, a Spanish compliant bond or a Spanish private pension, something like that. So you're absolutely right. That is what we're trying to solve around whenever we talk to individuals like this individual that had that query. But you rightly point out that if Spain is just stopping by, seeing what they know, spending some time, and then you're going to possibly move back to the U.S., then there's tremendous planning opportunity to continue to incorporate the Roth. It's more about just people understanding what they might be getting into or not being taken advantage of while they're Spanish tax resident.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.